My name is John Beethan. I'm at the Technology Advisory Committee at the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce, and I work with All Maven. We're a full service branding digital agency. And within the agency and outside, I also am hired by people that keep putting off starting their podcast because it seems really so complicated and expensive. But they really want is to launch a profitable podcast so they can finally get their brand and message out there in a bigger way. So this presentation was done several months ago on how to take advantage of Google. And John Victorino's here. He did this presentation and it was met with rounding success. Is that the right word, John?
Yeah, it's a pretty good description.
So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, John Victorino from beaconSEO.com.
All right. Hello, everybody. John Victorino with Beacon SEO, and we work with local businesses to get them in front of their ideal clients. And one of the great ways to do that is by taking advantage of Google. So what this presentation is going to be about is how we can use your Google My Business listing and also how to optimize your website so that it can get in front of the people that you want it to get in front of. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So first I want to talk about the shift, why Google? Why do we want, our website to show up in Google? So right here we have a graphic of the top 50 websites in the United States. And what you'll see right here is number one is Google, and number two is YouTube, which is actually kind of a subsidiary of Google. So technically Google owns number one and number two. And also what I want you to notice here is that of the top five, right? So we have Google, YouTube, Facebook, Reddit, Amazon. Three of the top five websites on here are search engines. And those are going to be critical as far as marketing your business online. Now, on top of that, in 2019, there were over 2 trillion searches done on Google. And of those, of all the searches done worldwide, over 90% of them are being done on Google. So, there are other search engines like Bing and Yahoo and DuckDuckGo, but I mean, really, there's no one even close to being in the same league as Google as far as search is concerned. So if we take those numbers into consideration, the average person searches on Google 3 to 4 times per day. And one of the great benefits of having traffic from search is that, if I'm looking for a plumber because my sink is busted, I need a plumber, right? The plumber didn't have to generate the interest within me. I already need a plumber. So that's really what we want to take advantage of. So let's take a look at what a search on Google would look like. So there are really 4 main sections that are in the search. The first section is the paid ads. The second section is what's called the paid maps. And then at the bottom is the organic maps and then the organic listings. Now, whenever I show this graphic, most business owners get a little worried about doing organic SEO just because, hey, it's at the bottom of Google search, right? And for the amount of times that I've, done a presentation like this in front of, hundreds of people, the question I always ask is whenever you search for something in Google, do you typically click on the paid ads or in the organic search? And out of all the people that I've presented this to, there's only been one person that said they click on the maps or the paid ads willingly. So the stat out there is that really
That's
only
me.
about,
By the way, John, that is definitely me. I do
you
not
click
click
on the
on the
paid
ad.
ads,
Nope.
you click on them. Oh yeah,
No.
exactly. Yeah. So um, really the stat out there is there's only about 15% of all the search will click on the paid ads. So, 15% of that 2 trillion will go to paid ads. The rest will go into the organic maps or organic listings. Now, to be honest with you, I really think that that number is still bloated because the only time I've ever clicked on the paid ads is when I click on it accidentally or if I really don't like a company and I want to charge them money. But
That's
um,
interesting. I do the same thing, John. That's funny.
yeah. So
'Cause- Yeah.
so
Because
that's
when
why.
you click on the ad, they get dinged, right?
Yep, exactly. So that's why being able to take advantage of the organic maps, organic listings is going to be really important. That's because a lot of just the traffic goes to those two sections.
Hmm.
So the next thing I want to go through is to go through a couple of definitions here. So we're going to look at what SEO or search engine optimization is, or SEM, search engine marketing is. They're two sides of the same coin. But the really easy way to look at this is search engine optimization is organic um, listings, and then search engine marketing is the paid advertising on search. Now, what I'm gonna pull up now are a couple of, I guess, dictionary definitions of SEO and SEM, and I'm just gonna gloss through them. You don't really have to read them because the way I look at things, I don't really like these really complex definitions, right? So for SEM, it's just talking about it's really paid search. So I want to share my definition of SEO. So to me, all a website is a machine. It's a machine that's designed to make me, you, all of our businesses as much money as possible. That's really all it's designed to do. Well, search engine optimization is fine tuning that machine so that it can make us as much money as possible. So that's really just the way I look at SEO, and it really simplifies it. So that's what allowed me to come up with what I call the Google domination formula. So if we think about it, all Google is a robot, right? There's no way a group of people can scan through all the websites on the planet and kind of aggregate. It has to be done with a robot. And with that said, that robot has a formula that if we can match our websites and our businesses to that formula, it'll show up to the top of Google. It's really as simple as that. So the first thing I want to go through is just an example. So this is actually a client of ours that, we're part of this project. And if we search right now for a San Diego mold removal, we'll have precision mold removal at the top of the maps listing, organic maps. And then they're about number 3 in the organic results, just behind Yelp. So I don't technically count Yelp as a local business because they're not. So we're technically ranking as the top local business on there. And here are just a couple of stats from that website. So right now, that website ranks for um, 879 organic keywords, 1,300 organic visitors each month. So that means that, people are searching all over San Diego for mold removal, and 1,300 of them are landing on that website. And this traffic value right here at 28,000, this is very important, right? So when we talked about earlier about search engine marketing, right, it's paid ads. So for our website to show up in Google, we would have to pay. So what this number is telling us is if we were to pay Google for these 1,300 visitors to our website, it would cost us $28,000. So we're getting all of this traffic for free because we rank organically. So that's $28,000 worth of a marketing budget that's just in our pocket.
Nice.
So the next thing I want to talk about now is defining our targets. So this is going to be really important, and it's really I pretty much base all of my search engine optimization projects off of this step, just because this step will give us a lot of information. And the 4 main ones are, we're going to find out if people are searching for what you do, right? If people aren't searching on Google for what you do, don't worry about SEO, do something else, right? So what was I had a lady that reached out to me. She did therapy for cats, which I could tell her from the start, hey, no one's going to be looking for that.
Yeah, sure.
And
Why
nobody
not,
did.
right?
Yeah. So, do something else. The next thing that we're going to find out once we define our targets is we're going to figure out, okay, what target are we going to hit? Right. So we talked earlier about how Google is a robot and we need to match their formula. And the closer we can get to that, the higher will show up in their search. Well, we need to find out what those targets are. We also need to find out how often are people searching for whatever it is that you do, right? So for that mold removal example, we knew is going to be a lot of opportunity there because a lot of people need mold removal in the San Diego area, right? There's 2 million some odd people in San Diego. So we knew, hey, there's going to be a lot of opportunity here, and we were right. And the last thing that we're going to find out, which is very, very important, is we're going to figure out who your competitors are, right? So,
And why is that important, John?
because it's going to tell us, okay, this is how much time, effort, resources is going to take to get your website from where it is to above your competitors,
Got it.
right? So there's a balance that we need to strike where, okay, if there's a lot of, a good example of this is going to be for realtors, right? So there's a lot of people that are going to be searching for something like Carlsbad real estate. In fact, let's go ahead and go through it. Okay, 1,000 searches a month, right? So if a realtor came up to me and said, hey, I want to start ranking my website for Carlsbad real estate, this is going to say, oh, that's, there's a lot of good opportunity on there, but let's look at who's ranking on the first page. We have Zillow.com, Realtor.com, Trulia.com, Redfin.com. These are really massive websites that I don't care if you pay me 10 grand a month, we're not going to beat these guys. So
Yeah.
that's really important to figure out for your specific search engine optimization project. And that's why defining your targets the right way, this is really at the start of everything. Whenever I go out and network, people ask me, oh, how long is it going to, take for my website? I always tell them, I don't know. I haven't looked at who your competitors are. It may be easy. It may be impossible. We just don't know. So what I'm going to do next is show a tool where we can define those targets. So we need to find those keywords. And the tool that I suggest people use is a tool called Uber Suggest. So Uber Suggest. And it's a free tool, right? And you just throw in here, let's try Carlsbad real estate again.
Neil Patel?
Yes.
That's his site. Okay. We know Neil.
Perfect. So this is one of the tools that I use. It's showing up a little. Oh, I would have to sign in to get the historical data, but this will just tell you, over the past 12 months, what all the traffic looks like. So this is going to be really important for businesses that are seasonal.
Mm-hmm.
So, finding out, okay, these are your big months, these are your low months, so that, hey, just prepare yourself for that kind of stuff. So, this is one tool. There's a million out there. For me, I also use, I always get asked this when I do a screen share.
Yeah.
How come I never see this number before? So this is actually a paid tool that I use. It's called the Keyword Explorer. And it's $10 for 10,000 credits or 100,000 credits. And I've been using this for close to a year, and I've only used 12,000 credits. And I do this pretty much day in and day out. So for 10,000 credits, everybody can have access to this for their whole lifetime, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it's a really quick way to figure out, okay, are people looking for what I do? And it'll throw it directly on to your browser window. So now that we have defined our targets, we can also get different variations. So right here we have divorce attorney Reno, divorce lawyer Reno. Even though they're the same thing to us humans, to
Mm-hmm.
Google it's not, right? They're two different distinct keywords. And even right here where it says divorce lawyer Reno and divorce lawyers in Reno, those are all going to be different different variations in Google's eyes. So we need to work all of these different variations of the same keyword in our website so that we can show for all of them.
So those are typically called keyword phrases, correct?
So that's kind of the weird phrasing of this is in the search engine optimization world, this is all like, even though these are 4 words, we call it a keyword, but you can call it a key phrase or a search term, however you want to think about it. That is kind of weird though, how even though it's more than 1 word, it's just a keyword.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's shift gears for a moment and talk about um, imagining a situation, right? Hopefully, the people out there listening to this, you won't have to go through this, but imagine you're going through a divorce and you search for a divorce attorney on Google and you find these two websites. Now, I don't know who Clifton Young attorney is. I'm not picking on him. I just picked him at random.
Yep.
But we look at his Google My Business listing. He has a 1-star review versus we have Work Law with 31 5-star reviews, right? Who would you choose in this situation? It's a kind of a no-brainer, right? Work Law.
Yeah.
So this is why it's going to be really important for everybody out there to make sure that your Google My Business listing is on point, because people today, so I was reading this book, I forgot what it was, but a shift happened from what, like in the 80s, where pretty much um where you go is determined by where you are. So for example, the dentist that you would go to is probably the one closest to you,
Yeah.
right? Because you didn't have a way to know, okay, what other dentists are out there. So in that instance in time, it was a seller driven market, right? And now that we have search engines where you can search for information, people will literally drive clear across a city to go to their own dentist, right? So that shifted the power now to us consumers, because we can do all of this research, right? That's why, websites like Yelp exist, Yellow Pages, why making sure having good reviews is going to be really important, because people out there now have a choice. And if you don't make your business attractive to your customers, they're going to choose your competitors. It's as simple as that. So let's talk about how to make your Google My Business page stand out. Okay, so again, we pulled up another just family law attorney, and the basics are going to be your business name, which is going to be right here, Caitlin Miller Law, your address, and then your phone number. Those are the basics. Now, one thing that people get hung up on is the business category. I don't know what to put as my business category. The easiest way to do that is to search on Google. Let's say I'm working with a roofer, San Diego roofer, and just look at who, at what the guys that are winning, look at what they're doing, right? The ones that are ranking at the top, they're all saying roofing contractor, roofing contractor, roofing contractor, right? Let's do injury attorney. Oh, San Diego. Right? Personal injury attorney, personal injury attorney, personal injury attorney. So it's really easy to figure out what your business category is. You just need to look at who's ranking at the top for your industry and copy them. You also want to have your hours on there, especially if you are a location that has customers or clients go to your location. And then finally, the business description. So the business description is going to be really important. This is going to be one of the best places for you to work in some of those keywords that we looked at earlier when we were defining our targets. So let's use Surrey Law Practice for an example. So we can see right here, if we just scan through this description, family law, estate planning, divorce, legal separations, child custody, adoption, surrogacy, prenups, estate planning, right? So even us as a person just scanning through this, we can pick up a bunch of the keywords that we would see in Uber Suggest if we were doing a bunch of research on this. So working in all those different keywords in your business description is going to be really important, because that's going to tell Google, okay, well, I should show this website up for these keywords because, hey, that's what they do. Now, one thing that I would suggest to Surrey Law, if they were a client of mine, is they want to work in the areas that they serve. So right here, it says all areas of Nevada, right? You should actually break it down to the city. So for us here in North County, you should say on there, we serve the Carlsbad, Oceanside, Vista, San Marcos area. Don't say the North County area, just because not a lot of people search, like North County roofers. They would search like Vista roofers or something like that. Um, so having those specific keywords in there is going to be really important. Can you tell me if I explained that well?
No, that was absolutely perfect.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and the thing about you, John, is that you just make everything you're doing is just simple and makes sense. It's not that complex, but most people make things pretty complex, right?
Yeah, no, it's search engine optimization is fairly simple. Um, Now to get a little bit of extra juice to your website or to your Google My Business, a couple of things that you can do. Number one is your photos. So the big thing about photos is you want to name the file name. Here, actually, I can see if I can pull up an example for you. I should have done this.
So are you suggesting the file name of the image?
Yes.
Oh, really?
So
Okay. And that includes, is that like an alt tag?
just actually the file name and then the alt tag as well. So for example, I was working with a company that does pressure washing,
Hmm.
window cleaning, gutter cleaning, and you can see the file names: Carlsbad, California, gutter cleaning, right?
Got it.
Carlsbad, California, pressure washing, and so on and so forth. And all of these images are named um, to match the keywords that we want to rank for, right? So window cleaning, Encinitas, California. So that's what I mean by the photos is you want to name the file names as the keywords and the alt tags as well.
So what if your business is not located locally? In other words, you do business from anywhere. And of course, I'm asking as a podcaster because I do interviews all over the world. But
You still want to use your Google My Business listing, although you just don't want to put like, you don't want to put Carlsbad podcasting consultant, for example. Just put like podcasting consultant.
got it.
It's just really good to have your Google My Business because you never know how people are going to find you.
Yeah.
You just want to cover all your bases. Is that good?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, so reviews. We'll go through reviews in just a second. So frequently asked questions. So there is a section in Google My Business where people can ask questions. What I actually suggest is you throw in your own frequently asked questions in there and then answer them just so you have your bases covered. Don't wait for people to ask. Um, and then getting good reviews. So you can get reviews that are 5 stars, which are going to be great, but there's actually a kind of a secret sauce ninja way to supercharge your reviews. So if you can get 5-star reviews and also have your customers or your clients in the review work in the keywords that you want to rank for, that's going to work extremely well. So for example, right here, again, we go back to Caitlin Miller.
Yep.
We can see right here it says family and then law. Now that's not quite as good as if it was family law
Yep.
next to each other, but that will still count. So one thing that I've been working with that pressure washing client is essentially training his customers to say, hey, when you leave a review, can you mention the city that you live in, what service we performed in your review? So now if we can actually look at it right now. Okay, so right here, windows cleaned. I'm not seeing an area. Carlsbad, right? We windows cleaned. So that's just a really quick scan, but you can kind of get the gist of what we're trying to do is you want to work in the keywords in the reviews, and that's going to supercharge your maps rankings really, really quickly.
If I may ask a question, I noticed in the
Sure.
previous example, PCH Services is the name of the company. So in that example, doesn't what we're really talking about, it doesn't make any difference about the name of the business as much as the content in terms of what's in the review, what's in other places, the images, everything else you've been talking about, right?
So I mean, his business is already named, so we really can't get away from that. But
Yeah.
if it was up to me and I was building a new business, I would put in the name of the service as part of the business. But the issue with PCH is that they just have so many different services that you can't kind of give them a name that's on the nose.
Yeah.
Whereas, here, I'll give you an example. So this is actually a website that I worked on. So Reno NV Bail Bonds, RenoNVBonds.com. So this is a website that I built, and I named the website whatever keyword I want to target, and it makes it simpler to rank. And actually what we're doing here is I rent this website out to an actual bail bondsman so that whenever they get a lead, they essentially just buy the leads from me. So, that's another approach to doing it. Like, you can name your company San Diego Roofing Company, and it still makes sense. And then, you work it in there. But what I've found is that, that's kind of looking at your SEO is kind of put in the back burner as you're building a business, which, I don't know. To me, trying to get customers through the door is the most important thing. So
Yep.
I'm always thinking of marketing and sales first versus what the name of my business is. But, to each their own, right?
Yep.
Um,
Okay. Thanks.
did that answer your question?
It did. Thank you.
Awesome. So the next thing that we can talk about is your Google My Business posts. So um, these are really, I mean, they're fairly new within about the past couple of years. And they're really good if you have any special offers, events, new industry information, and then just business updates. Like if you're hiring, you just had your, 10th anniversary, anything like that, because it adds another piece of real estate on that, Google search window. So the only thing that you want to think of here is you want to make sure that the keywords you want to rank for are toward the top. So they Google will only display the first about 100 characters in this. So this is actually not a very good example because they're just saying Happy Veterans Day. There's no keywords in there. But if you are doing it for your business, whatever your business is, you want to make sure you work in the keyword toward the top, because it will, number one, display to your customers, and number two, Google will be able to read that. And
Right.
then with Google My Business posts, these are only up for a week, so you have to do them pretty much weekly. Okay, so now let's talk about the actual website. So far we've talked about the Google My Business listing, which is very important. Whenever we work with local businesses, probably 50 to 60% of their traffic comes from just the Google My Business listing. So they don't even make it to the website, but also covering your website is going to be very important. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the three main aspects of optimizing your website, which is what's called on-site optimization. So on-site optimization is everything that has to do with your website, right? And the way that I describe it is all we're doing is we're taking, the keywords that we find from this tool, and we need to make sure that they're all put in the right places. So the first part of the on-site optimization is what's called your URL. So your URL is broken down into two things. There is your domain. So your domain would be johnplumbers.com or johnconstruction.com. So earlier we were talking about how you would name your business
Yeah.
to kind of take advantage of Google's optimization formula. So this is a good example of that, where if I was a plumber and I named my website johnplumbers.com, well, it's really easy for Google to understand that, hey, this is a plumber, right? Because the domain, it has plumbers in it. And the thing with your domain is once you set this up, you pretty much can't change it, right? It's permanent. So that's why this is the most important place to work in your keywords, if you can work them in there. Right now, if you don't want to pigeonhole yourself to just plumbing and you do all sorts of construction services, you can put in there johnconstruction.com. And then you need to go on to the next step. So the next step, which is not going to be as important as the domain name, is your URL. So for example, if I had johnconstruction.com and we offer electrical services, we would put johnconstruction.com/electrician/plumbing/landscaping.
And
So
so
this is,
those are landing pages?
yep, these are going to be not landing pages, they're going to be inner pages,
Okay.
which you can also use as a landing page. So I have a different definition between a website and a landing page. So to me, a landing page is a page where there's only one thing for that person to do. It's either say yes to whatever you're offering or get out. Right.
Right.
So that to me is a landing page. This would be because people are finding you through Google. It's going to be more of a regular website where there's a menu at the top and they can find out about your company, here are your services, frequently asked questions, all those different things are going to be in a typical website. So that's what these would be. The next step would be, so now you've worked in your keywords in here. If you can't work it in your domain, you at least want to work it into your URL. And then the next step is going to be your metadata. So we have here your page title and page description. So the easiest way to look at your page title is if you pull up, for example, Reno Bail Bonds, right? This blue section right here, this is what is in your page title, right? So here I'm using my page title really well because I'm working in there, Reno, Nevada, bail bonds. And even just with this, you can have Reno, bail bonds, Reno. So all those different variations are also worked in there. And on top of that, I have bondsman in there. So if it was Reno, bail bondsman, right? Bail bondsman, Reno, Nevada. So I was really conscious of what keywords I'm using in my title so that all the different variations are in there. So that's kind of the way you need to approach this. So this is the page title. Now with this, you only have, depending on what letters you're using, you have somewhere between 60 to 70 characters to work with. I usually stick around 60 just to make sure that it will always show. But you can test that to see, hey, I'll try to work in 65. And what you want to avoid is right here, how it turns into the ellipses, the 3 dots.
Yep.
So what that means is if it turns into those 3 dots, Google isn't reading whatever is past that. So again, we want to be conscious of what keywords we're using for the stuff that displays, and then how many characters we're working in there. So that's the page title. The next one is the page description, which is going to be this guy right here, right? Again, if we look at it, Reno, bail bonds, bail bonding, bail. So for this, we have 130 characters to work with, again, depending on, what letters you're using. And the same thing with the page title, you want to avoid the ellipses. So you got to be really conscious of how many characters you're working in there. And then the last thing I have for metadata is schema. Now, we're going to keep this fairly simple and straightforward, and schema is a little bit more complex. So we're not going to go through deeply into how to use it, but I just want you to know that it exists. And so all schema is if I gave you these 3 sets of numbers, right? They really don't mean anything to you just because they're just a set of numbers, right? And that's kind of the same thing with Google. If we just give Google data and, if we just gave Google these sets of numbers, it won't mean anything to them either. But if we label our data to say, hey, this first number is a date, this second number is a phone number, this third number is a social security number, now all those numbers start to make more sense to us. And it's the same thing with Google. If we just give them data, it's not going to make sense. Well, now if we give them data about the data, right, now they're going to understand what it is. So that's really all schema is the data about the data that you're going to give them. That's the best way to explain that.
Nice. That's actually the best explanation I've heard. Thank you.
Awesome. And then the last thing here is content. So there's this, I don't want to call it a lie, but it's kind of a myth that content is king as far as search engine optimization, where really it's pretty much the last thing on my list to optimize. And there are really only a couple of things that you want to, worry about with your content. So again, we have those keyword variations that we got on this list. And the main thing that you want to do is you want to work it into your heading tags. So um, I'm not going to pull up a
That's
client
fine.
website. I don't know if it's going to work out. But you
You
want to
can
just,
describe the H1 through the H3 for sure.
yeah. So really all these are if you want to think about, the way I think about it is in a newspaper, right? So if I was looking at a newspaper, the the main substance of the article that I'm looking at is going to be in that title, right? So everything that's in that article is going to be, about that title. So that's kind of what your H1 tag is the main title of an entire article. And then the H2 and H3 are just going to be the subsections of the content. But at the very least, you want to have an H1, and then you want to work in the keywords that we found through this tool. You want to work it into your H1 tag.
Got it.
And then beneath that, your paragraph tag. So this is actually, um, depending on the client, I may not even worry about the paragraph tag just because they're just so low on the totem pole as far as their importance in SEO. Video embeds. So for this, one trick that you can use is if you are producing content on YouTube,
Hmm.
you just want to name the video on YouTube as the keyword, or you want to have the keyword in the title of that video. And then if you embed that video into your website, that actually counts as a ranking factor. So that's just another kind of ninja move, but if you're not producing videos, then that won't work.
So in other words, the name of the video file should include those keywords as well, right?
That and then the title on YouTube. So,
Right.
if I was doing like drain cleaning examples or something like that, and then I had a plumbing company and I had a service that's about a service page that's about drain cleaning, then I would include that video about drain cleaning examples into that drain cleaning page. So it's all about matching all those things up.
Yep.
And then alt text. So alt text, the best way I can describe alt text is, as we are putting images into Google, now they have a software now where they can kind of tell what an image is, but before, when you put an image through Google, they can't see what that image is, right? Because it's a robot, it can't see pictures. So what the alt text is the way that we are describing that image so that a search engine can understand it. So just making sure that your alt text has your keywords in there, um, is just the simplest way to use that. And then, of course, we talked about this earlier, the image file names, the
Yep.
image description. Now, the comments, you can do it. Most of the time we don't, unless it's a really, really competitive space where, so the thing is, what I'm showing you guys here, it'll get you, like, 90% of the businesses out there, it'll get you to the top of that first page. You don't need anything else other than this, unless you're in a super competitive space like a personal injury attorney or a divorce attorney in a large city like San Diego. Like if you were trying to target, I don't know, Temecula, there's going to
Yep.
be a vast difference in competition in Temecula versus San Diego.
Yep.
So for most businesses, really, this is all you're going to need. So some of these things are kind of like trying to get that extra 1%. What you're going to get from just this formula is 90% of the way there, which for most businesses is going to be enough. So um, if this was everything that has to do with your website, which is your on-site optimization, the next part of the formula is everything that's not on your website, and this is called the off-site optimization. So if any of you are pretty versed in digital marketing or have done a lot of research in it, you may have run into the phrase called link building. And that's really what offsite optimization is. And the best way that I can describe this is how Google determines how trusted and if they should show your website to their users is based on other trusted websites talking about you, right? And so the more trusted websites that are talking about your website, then the more confidence Google will have into showing your website at the top of their search engine and then showing it to their users. So there are really a couple of different types of powerful websites that you can have talking about you. And the first set are going to be your social profiles. So your Facebook page. So for example, let me pull up here. So for example, if you have a Facebook page that's about your business, most likely on that page is
Not seen
going to
any,
be,
not seen a Facebook page yet, just so you
yeah,
know.
I'm pulling it up first just so I don't, because I have a bunch of clients that's tied to my account. So I want to
Yeah.
make sure that I'm not showing any sensitive information. Okay. All right, here we go. So for example, this is the Facebook page for Beacon, right? And right here, there's a section in the website where if I click this, it'll take me to my website. So so for those of you that have built your own Facebook page and have linked it to your website, you were building links. You may not have known it, but that's what you were doing. And it's the same thing if you build a Twitter business page, a LinkedIn company page, a YouTube company page, Instagram company page, Pinterest has a company page, your Google My Business listing, right? So right here, there's a link to the website. That's you building links if you guys are setting all those things up. I want to give you a resource though. So when we bring on our clients, depending on, again, how competitive the space is, we will build somewhere between 100 to up to 500 social profiles for them. And the list that we use is right here. It's called knowem.com. And all you want to do is just type in the name of your company right here, hit search, and it'll tell you out of all of these websites. Oh, click here to search more. It'll tell you out of all of these different social media websites where your company name is still available. And then all you got to do is make your way down the list and start signing up your company in all of these websites and start building links. So this is a pretty good resource that we use.
Nice.
The next type of links that you can build are local directories. So, if your business has a Yelp page, again, Google My Business, Bing Local, Apple Maps, those are links that you're building. So if you have a Yellow Pages, that's another local directory. MapQuest is still around. I don't know if any of you guys use it.
Not for years, but it's still there, huh?
It's still around. And the only reason I even know it's still around is because that's a good link that you can build for your business.
Yep.
Now, the thing with local directories is you want to make sure that you keep everything consistent. So, for example, if you're using st dot in your address right here, so PCH isn't showing their address, but in your address right here, if it says st dot, you want to use st dot in all of your local directories that you're going to build. If you use street for all of them that you're going to build. So you want to keep it as consistent as possible. Now, one thing that you got to watch out for with your local directories is if you have what are called inconsistent listings where, your Yelp has a different address from your Google My Business and it has a different phone number as your Bing Local. What will actually happen is your Google My Business listing, this guy will never show up on Google because it's inconsistent. So that's something you got to watch out for. So this right here, if I could go back and make this bold in all caps, I would, but make sure everything is consistent.
John, it sounds like everything is built from Google My Business. In other words, you start there.
So in this section, it does start from Google My Business. And the way that you can actually do this, this is the way that my team does it, is we have a spreadsheet where the client's information, their address, their phone number, all those different things are already in that spreadsheet. And all the guys on my team have to do is copy and paste from the spreadsheet, so that I know they're not typing it and screwing it up because they're just copying and pasting, right? So that's an easy way to keep things consistent. So that's something that I would suggest you use.
Hmm.
Um, and then the last one that I want to talk about as far as your offsite optimization is your niche directory. So this right here, I really can't give you a resource just because every industry, every niche is going to have its own thing. For
Right.
example, lawyers are going to have their own sets of lawyer directories, like plumbers are going to have their own. The easiest way to do this is if you just type into Google lawyer directory and just go down the list, right? Justia, FindLaw, Martindale, American Bar. I don't know if this NOLO or NOLO, right? Lawyers, US News. So, these are all directories for lawyers, and you just, boom, start signing up your website for all of them, right? So let's do like plumber directory, eLocal, Home Advisor, myzipplumbers.com, aplumbers.com, USA Plumbing Directory. So really, whatever industry you're in, just type in your industry plus directory, and you should be able to find whatever directory you need to sign your business up for. So those are the three main ways. And again, if you guys take care of your on-site optimization and make sure that all of these things are taken care of, and then you sign your website up for all these directories and social profiles, 90% of the time you will rank either on the first page or most likely even number one. But that's really all search engine optimization is. Anything outside of that, don't do it, because most likely it's a hack. And if there's one thing that I know about Google, right, they're a multi-billion dollar, maybe even trillion-dollar data company. You can't trick a huge data company.
Can't
So
fool Mother Nature either.
yeah, so if you do any of those tricks, you're just really doing something risky. And one thing that you never want to do is get a penalty in Google, because if that happens, your website will be buried. It's going to be a lot of work, a lot of effort to kind of reverse all that stuff. So I think that's it. I don't know if you have
Yeah,
any
so
questions.
yeah, I had several. I was gonna hold them till now. So
Sure.
I know we talk about the Google algorithms changing. So I'm imagining at Beacon SEO, when you take on a client, I mean, you keep up with that, obviously. So sometimes things change. So there's maintenance. There's ongoing maintenance to some degree, right?
Yeah. So the way that we do search engine optimization, number one is we always go by Google's guidelines. So
Hmm.
the way that we set everything up, I mean, it may be a little bit more effort and resources to do it, but I know that it's going to stay up there. So for example, so this is actually the name of my company before I moved to San Diego, is Reno Tahoe SEO. Reno Tahoe SEO is still ranking number one for Reno SEO, which gets almost 600 searches a month. This website still gets me clients, and I haven't logged into this website in probably 3 years. I haven't built any links to it in probably 4 years, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
still up there.
Yeah.
So if you do things the right way to where they're within Google's guidelines, yes, it's going to take a little bit more effort, but like this, this website is now an income generating website that I don't even look at anymore, other than showing it as an example. And then as far as staying on top of the algorithm, um, I'm not going to show you the list, but I have a
Yeah.
list of like 200 websites that I keep up and maintain and that I test with. And really, what happens when an algorithm update rolls out is, out of the 200, we'll see maybe 20 or 30 that'll move up, and then we'll see 20 or 30 that'll move down. Now it's my job to go through all the websites that moved up, see all the similarities, and then go through the websites that moved down, see all the similarities. And then from there, I have a plan of action that I can implement for my clients, because I know, okay, these are the things that happened. This is how we can optimize your website further. So that's
Okay.
kind of how I keep track of the algorithm. Now, there's a lot of resources out there like Moz, Local. Neil Patel is one. And so to be honest with you, I don't actually keep up with like the big SEO bloggers, search engine journal, search engine land. Those are big ones too, just
Yep.
because I don't trust their data. I trust my data, and my
Yep.
data doesn't lie
Yep.
because it's coming directly from Google, right?
Yep. I
So
like that. Yeah,
yeah.
personally. So another question I have is for somebody that already has a website, looking at kind of everything you presented today in terms of the rules. I'm sitting here going, and this is true for me actually, in terms of my website's johnbeethan.com. It's a personal website, but now I'm going, okay, got it. Need to redo some things here. So, what as a if you have a client that comes to you and is in that particular situation, what are kind of the first kind of things that you're going to be doing?
So the first thing that we actually do is we go through an audit. So um, a lot of information will come from that audit. Number one, we figure out what's going on with your website, right? How optimized is it? What needs to happen to it?
Yep.
Does it have any penalties? All those different things come to light. The second thing is we need to figure out, again, define our targets. What keywords are going to be good for you to rank for? How many searches a month do they get? That'll tell us, okay, is there actually a lot of opportunity there? And then again, the last thing is we're going to see who your competitors are.
Okay.
So we're going to break down your competitors, see how well their website is optimized, how many links do they have built to their website, because that'll tell us how many links we need to build, how much resources that's going to take. So that's really the first step.
Okay.
And for all of those guys that are watching this, I'm going to make a special offer for you guys. So if you reach out to me after watching this video, you can get a free audit of the exact same audit that we go through for our prospects. And usually I charge $200 for that. I'll give it to you for free. And then with that, you'll also get a 60-minute consultation with me where we can go through the audit and what a strategy, a plan of action would be. So that's, let me give that to the Carlsbad Chamber members.
That's incredibly generous. That's awesome. So,
Perfect.
what's the best way to get in touch with you regarding that or anything else?
So the best way to get in touch with me is, I'm not sure if my email is on here. So my email's not on here, but if you just go to jvictorino@beaconseo.com
Yep.
and just put in a subject line, I don't know, Carlsbad Chamber
Yep.
audit.
Yep.
I don't know if that's something that you can put and edit into the whole thing later, maybe. Um,
Oh,
but
well,
yeah,
I have an idea about that.
okay, perfect. You can maybe overlay it on this screen.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we'll have, like I said, we'll have an ending slide, a Carlsbad Chamber ending slide, and I'll put your email address right on that slide.
yeah, so just email me and put in the subject line Carlsbad Chamber audit,
Got
just
it.
so I know they're coming from this session,
Yep.
and we'll do that audit for them for free.
Okay, good. Last thing, or maybe not the last thing, hopefully, is that I do know that in the last week or so you've been doing a lot of stuff with Facebook
Hmm.
specifically. And
Sure.
do you want to talk a little bit about that offering for people?
Yeah. So right now, as
And
we're
today, just
recording
so you
this,
know, today's like what is it, the 27th? Yeah, it's April 27th, 2020.
yeah. So right now we are knee deep in the pandemic sheltering situation,
Yep.
and a lot of businesses are going under. I've heard a lot of businesses having to lay off like 99% of their employees, and it's crazy.
Yep.
And what I've been doing is I've put together a free Facebook advertising workshop that if you want access to it, you can get it for free. It's a 2-hour workshop where I essentially show my audience from start to finish how to set up their own Facebook advertising campaign.
Yep.
So you can get that. And then also, something else that I'm throwing in is when I did that workshop, I figured out that a lot of the business owners in there, okay, now they have the knowledge to set up their Facebook ads, but they don't actually know how to write ads. So what
Uh,
I'm also throwing in there is a guide, the formula that we use for our clients when we write their Facebook ads. It's like a 6-step formula where you just have to answer these 6 questions, throw that all together, and that's your ad. So it's really super simple doing it that way. So that's something that they can get for free as well. And if you want me to show the URL for that,
Yeah, why don't you do that right here? And I'll
free
make
guide.
notes and make
Sure.
sure that all the stuff that gets put on the ending slide too.
Sure. So it's Beacon SEO/free guide. And all you have to do is throw in your name and your email address, and I'll email it directly to you. And then on top of that, if Facebook ads isn't enough for you, or if that's not something that you're looking for, or it's not the right thing for your industry, there's a lot of ifs in there.
Yep.
Um, I am launching in about a week. So April 27th today, on May 4th, I am launching um, what I'm calling my digital marketing masterclass. So for this is going to be a 4-week course where each week on Monday, I will drop a module that will go through from A to Z how to set up, that week's campaign. So week 1 is going to be Facebook advertising. Week 2 is going to be Google and Bing ads. Week 3 is going to be search engine optimization. So it's essentially going through this lesson that we just went through, but in a more detailed and kind of step-by-step, held by the hand way. And then week 4 is going to be landing page conversion optimization. So this is something that is really important, because if you start to get eyeballs on your website, if it's not optimized to convert, then you're just wasting that traffic.
Yeah.
And I'll also throw in there some cheat sheets that we use for our projects, our clients, and then 8 weeks of Q&A sessions. So it's a bummer. So I actually just closed down the early bird pricing last night. It was $197, but now it's $297. So if any chamber
It's not
members,
still, John, it's still not a bummer. That's
yeah,
an awesome value.
yeah. So right here, if you want to get in there, $297, just click I want access. The URL is beaconseo.com/marketing mastery.
Yep.
And really the point of this, I'm not trying to make a lot of money on here, but it's really just, you know, local business owners need to know how to market their businesses
Yep.
digitally right now, because you can't shake hands, right?
Well, one thing I want to point out for people regarding $297 is that, given the pandemic, you're probably not going to Starbucks and you're saving at least that much. I don't know, maybe in a month, 3 months, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be honest with you, man, so about a month ago, I did kind of the same thing, but a little bit more condensed
Hmm.
version, and it was for free. And you know what I realized? When you give something away for free, people don't do it,
I know. I
right?
know. They don't
Out of the
value it.
60 people that I had in that group, I had maybe 6 people participate and then 4 of them implement. So my idea with this is, because you're putting money down into this, you're investing in yourself.
Yep.
You're going to actually do the stuff that I'm going to tell you to do,
Yep.
right? So that's it. Those are all the things that are going on right now. If you want that free guide, again, it's beaconseo.com/free guide. If this is all enough for you, perfect. That's fine.
Yep.
If you want something more comprehensive as far as your digital marketing presence, the Digital Marketing Masterclass is launching in about a week.
Okay, good. Well, I want to get this out, but I also want to wrap up and also say John and I met at the Carlsbad Chamber of Commerce, and then we started having coffee a couple times Thursday mornings, 9 o'clock after another meeting he had. And we just really enjoyed spending time. And I asked him the question, which was, when you're not doing all this, what do you really love? And he said, well, besides his marriage and his wife, he said Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Mm-hmm.
So John was the reason and the inspiration of why I started whathasmyattention.com, my own personal podcast. And so he's episode 1, and I think it's really worth listening to.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah. You
yeah,
should
and
tie that in with this video when you put it up
I
in the website.
yeah, I'll probably mention it at the end. It's a really good interview, and I just I love you, man. What can I say? Love what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
So obviously, if anybody has any questions, you can get a hold of him at beaconseo.com or email jvictorino at SEO, excuse me, beaconseo.com, right?
Perfect. Yep.
Anything else you want to end with, John? I'll let you end with words.
No, that's going to be it. I hope you guys find some really good information and take action on this. You know, you can
That's
learn
the
all,
key, isn't it?
yeah, you can
Taking
learn
action
all
is the
this
key.
stuff. I can give you all the information that's inside my head, but unless you sit in front of your computer, click the mouse and press your keyboard, it really doesn't matter. And literally all you have to do is click your mouse and press your keyboard and it'll work. So take action.
uh, Click your mouse and press your keyboard. What a great topic for a podcast.
Yeah.
All right, John, take care, and I will see you around. Thanks for
Sounds
being
good,
here.
John. Thanks.
You bet. Bye.
Bye.